Oh, no. Don't do that to me.
I know you're weird about chickpeas, but I made a chickpea salad.
I don't mind a chickpea.
Okay.
I'm going to do one better to add to that. 100% organic whole grain.
Yeah, pregnant women should just starve. That'd be safer. Welcome back to the Sis Let's Heal podcast. Today, we unintentionally started a new series where we dive into some of the biggest food myths in the health and wellness space. If you spent any time online, you've probably seen foods like red meat and eggs and seed oils labeled as toxic, inflammatory, or even carcinogenic. Depending on who you follow, it can feel like everything in your kitchen is either going to heal you or harm you. The problem is that a lot of these claims take small pieces of research, remove the context, and turn them into fear-based nutrition advice. Meanwhile, many of the foods getting demonized are actually nutrient-dense whole foods that have been part of human diets for generations. So in this series, we're breaking down some of the most common nutrition myths, what the research actually says, and how you can make informed food choices without feeling like every meal is a moral decision. In part 1 today, we're tackling 3 big ones: red meat, eggs, and the internet's favorite villain lately, seed oils. So let's get into it. All right, we've got a lot to dive into today. Might get just a little spicy. Lots of myths, lots of debunking, lots of rabbit holes to go down. If you like these kinds of episodes, let us know. The research part has been really fun for us, so if it's fun to listen to and it's helpful, we need to know, because maybe we'll do more of these. But what is the biggest one that you want to debunk? What are we going to kick it off with?
I want to debunk, this was brought to my attention by not one of my clients, one of my coworkers' clients. I was going to say her name's Anna. Shout out you, girl. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. We appreciate you.
Yes. She was asking me, she listens to the podcast. She was asking me my thoughts on red meat being a carcinogen. Yes. And as the pod knows, I do eat a good amount of red meat. I wouldn't say like every meal, but a decent amount through the week. So that's one I really want to focus on. But then as I was talking to Kaylin about this topic, we were like, well, let's just do a whole bunch of food myths and see which ones are true and which ones are not true and why they say that and all the fun things. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think the important thing to remember with this is we're not bringing these things to everyone's attention to scare you. We want to provide evidence and information to allow you to make your own decision with. More of an education is knowledge, or more like an education is power. When you know more, you're able to make more informed decisions and do what's best for your body.
Yes, exactly. And I think we're all just very scared of what we've heard, the propaganda, the media, all that kind of stuff, and we don't actually know the true facts.
Well, it seems and I've seen so many reels on this, especially from other health, fitness, Instagram people, is you're on Instagram, you're trying to start a healthy lifestyle, and you're just not sure what to do, and one day you hop on and they're like, eggs are terrible. And you're like, all right, so I'll go eat cereal and Greek yogurt. And then the next thing you see is cereal's terrible for you. Don't eat cereal. And then you're like, all right, vegetables, they must be healthy. And then people are like, if you're not eating organic, you're gonna die. And just everything is so extreme and everything is conflicting. And you feel like you turn one corner and then that's also bad. And then you're like, okay, so what can I eat that's not going to kill me? And I think this should really clarify a lot of things so we're not feeling like just everything's going to kill us.
Yes, exactly. And we've kind of went over a few in previous podcasts. A big one that we talk about a decent amount is the food myth that fat makes you fat.
Or carbs
Um,
make you fat.
Carbs make you fat. I think we've pretty much went over that that's not true, so we can kind of cross both of those off of our list.
Check, check.
I want to dive more into the like food specific ones.
Mm-hmm. The top one is the red meat. But I think the important, like, I don't know. In my head, like red meat to me, it's like a single category of beef. And I know that's not how the food industry organizes and classifies things. So like expanding my thoughts of like what red meat actually is, that's a challenge for me. So if I like say something weird, it's probably because I'm only thinking of beef in this category, but it does expand to like bacon and hot dogs and deli meat and like processed things as well, which I think recent research has shown like those do cause cancer, like period blank, like reduce your intake of your deli meats, your smoked meats, your processed meats as much as possible because they are linked to cancer. Like research has
Mm.
proven that at this point. And that's something like I'm going to be honest, like I'm kind of sad about, especially in the summer, because I love a good like ham or turkey sandwich or even sub, hoagie, whatever you want to call them, on the beach with some chips and some, I almost said sunflower, sun chips. The cheddar sun chips are so good, but you know, there's some things we gotta give and take. Maybe I'll enjoy it one day on the beach, you know?
And there's no shame in your game for just doing one day. I feel like when you're on the beach at the beach for a week and that's lunch every single week and then you get like a hot dog on the boardwalk later that night and it's like, "Oh, we're really piling it on now."
I will say, and I know you're more of like a hot dog girly than I am never gravitationally pulled toward a hot dog. Like I'm almost like repelled from a hot dog. I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
I used to be the biggest hot dog girly. It used to be like one of my favorite foods, especially with like a good bun and like a slice of cheese in it as well. Ketchup, mustard. Ketchup is acceptable on a hot dog, of course. Um, but ever since I've learned about like processed meats and just whole foods and eating better and more natural, I really cut hot dogs out almost completely. Maybe I'll do a hot dog on the 4th of July, and that's it.
I don't even think I can get myself to do that.
See, if it comes to the 4th of July day and I'm at someone's house and they have hot dogs and hamburgers, but I'm at someone else's house and I don't know how they've seasoned their meat
Mm,
for the hamburgers. And I'm not saying out of like a health way, I'm saying out of a taste way.
hmm
I'll go for the hot dog unless they boiled that hot dog, which is a sin. If they put that hot dog on the grill, I'm getting the hot dog every single time.
So it's interesting that you say that because when I think of like a grilled hot dog, I most definitely almost 99.9% of the time assume that that hot dog is getting burnt. And that's the number one thing. And I know, I remember how you make your s'mores. That is probably the worst thing that you could consume. Like if you're trying to reduce risk as much as possible, burning it is not the way to go.
Yes. And I know this. But on the 4th of July, you
Your
give
hot
me
dog
a
and your s'more.
yes, you give me a toasty over the fire hot dog.
I'm
I
you're
want to
burning it.
yeah, I want to see the juices leak out and then when they hit the wood they sizzle. I'm like, "Oh god, it's good." But that's a 4th of July thing because like I don't even know if it is anymore cuz honestly, so many foods gross me out now to where now if I'm eating a hot dog and if I think about it a little too much, I'm like, "Oh, I'm not enjoying this anymore.
One thing you could do to help yourself if you really just like want to cut the hot dog out is think about Josie eating a hot dog.
Oh no. Don't do that to me. I
I
don't
don't
know.
even know
We'll
if I
see what
want to introduce
happens.
hot dogs to her. I think she might have had a
Never.
hot dog like once in her life.
I was going to say, we'll see what happens on the 4th of July this year, but maybe a hot dog will be in my future. Maybe it will not. We'll also, that's kind of what I want to lead into with the red meat though, because there was a while there where I would still do the hot dogs, but I wouldn't do like the bun and like all that kind of stuff, which, hear me out. I know the hot dogs are still bad, but a lot of times where you're seeing this correlation more so with your regular red meats, not your processed meats, is what you're pairing it with can have a big
Mhm.
effect on what that red meat does in your body and how you cook it, of course. But let's dive into like what you're pairing it with first. More going the route with like the regular red meat as like a burger.
Okay.
Like, I think one of the most common meals in America is a burger with a bun, like a cheeseburger, french fries, and a soda or a milkshake or something like that. That's like very Americanized meal. Um,
Mhm.
and that's probably one of the worst things you can ever pair with red meat because a lot of times it's not the red meat, it's the saturated fats that you're pairing with it that cause havoc in your body. Whereas if you were pairing that with high fats and fibers, your body's able
Mhm.
to process the red meat more sufficiently. Um, that's where that whole food diet and being able to put that plate together of yes, there's red meat on this plate, but then there's also a big thing of fiber over here and then some healthy fats to coincide with what is happening is key, and learning that balance is key
Well, I
because
would even say, sorry to cut you off, like
you're
when
good.
you're ordering like a restaurant burger, I'm assuming without even asking the chef what kind of meat they're serving me, that they're probably serving like an 80-20 beef. Like there's already fats in there. I wouldn't necessarily add more, but usually you're adding at least a slice of cheese to that. Sometimes there's a sauce, maybe like a mayo or something. Like you're definitely adding more fats to it, but just being more cognizant of that. And I remember like back in my, I'm rolling my eyes a bit because it was like my initial days of fat loss and just wanting to be skinnier of ordering. And I vividly remember this one time I ordered at a Red Robin the lettuce wrap for my burger. And like looking back now, I still think people can make fun of it. But truthfully, I think that's a great way to order a burger at this point because not that lettuce is like super nutritional, but it's taking out those simple carbs, which are probably going to spike your blood sugar. And as we're learning more and more every day, like your blood sugar is something very important that needs to be considered. And that's why balanced meals are so important. But I'm almost thinking like, I'm dreaming about ordering a burger and a lettuce wrap with like some sweet potato fries. That just sounds amazing to me. And it's something that you can enjoy without worrying about affecting like your health journey, you know?
Yeah. The maybe handful of times since my
Right.
health
Not
journey
like
that
every week.
no, that I've gone to like a Red Robin or something like that. I love a lettuce wrap.
Hmm.
That's my bread and butter, and I love a sweet potato fry. Um, but I
Do they
don't
call it
love
a
it.
wedgie? I feel like they call it a wedgie.
I have no idea.
I'm
I
going
don't
to look
know.
this up.
That feels wrong.
Yeah, they call them wedgies.
Specifically at Red Robin.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I love a lettuce wrap. I will never be a hater of a lettuce wrap. Granted, there's stuff on that burger that, like you said, it's an 80-20 split. Any sauce is like packed like seed oils and sugars and then Everything is probably fried in seed oils. If you get a fried onion on it or something, fried in seed oils. The sweet potatoes are probably fried in seed oils. We know that generally any restaurant experience is going to sit in your 20% no matter what. But more for at home cooking, if you're taking a nice lean ground beef, throwing it on the grill, a grass-fed cheese on top of that, and then you're having a side of sweet potatoes that you made yourself in avocado oil and maybe frying up some onions in your own avocado oil, you've just made the same exact thing, but you made it so much better for you, which
And
I always think is
speaking,
so interesting.
yeah, and speaking of at home things to focus on when it comes to red meat, like I truly think there are much quote unquote scarier things to worry about that aren't being talked about, like your
Mhm.
highly processed foods. Like it's crazy that some people try to demonize something like steak when there's these highly processed foods out there that who even knows what they're doing to our bodies, but oh my god, steak's the worst, you know?
Mhm.
So I think there are definitely things that aren't being talked about that we probably should stray away from, like the highly processed foods. But when it comes to like steak, the best thing you could do is focus on your most unprocessed forms of those. So, like, obviously, ground beef is slightly processed. It has to go through a machine to become ground beef. But thinking about like your steaks, obviously, the leaner is probably going to be better, have a better balance of fat and protein. And then also like roasts. Throwing a roast in a crock pot is another healthy, quote unquote, form of red meat that is not going to affect you like they say it's going to. And like I said, avoiding like charring and burning your meat, that's another way to like reduce your risk. I've even learned in researching this that just your like cooking temperatures can also make an effect on how these change your body and how your
Mhm.
body's able to digest them. I would also think that cooking them at a lower moderate temperature is going to help with not burning them as well. But like you said too, like pairing them with fibers, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, not like your simple highly processed carbs. And then just overall limiting your processed meats like your bacon and your sausage and lunch meat and things like that.
Yes. So, all in all, to go back to the carcinogen aspect of it, your processed meats, known carcinogen in high amounts, not so much. Obviously, the less you eat them, the lower your risk. When it comes to red meat itself, it's kind of in a gray area. If you're eating very high fat red meats with your processed foods and all that kind of stuff, your risk is higher. If you're eating lower fat, maybe like a 95 to 5% split grass fed, because that also has some aspects to it that the grass fed has been known to lower risk as well. Because it just has more nutrients in it for you and all that kind of stuff. If you're eating it cooked low and slow with whole foods, lowers your risk. There's not like a yes, this is a carcinogen or no, this isn't a carcinogen. It's what you do with it and the type of meat that you buy that matters.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important not to completely avoid red meat. I think
Mm-mm.
it's still a great mix into the balance of like a weekly diet because what we
Yeah.
have to remember is there's such good nutrients in it, like iron, especially for females when we're cycling. That's really important to include in our diets. Our B vitamins that we don't really get from other places. That's why vegetarian, plant based diets, you have to supplement with that because your body needs B vitamins. And if you're feeling, not energetic, pretty low energy, you're probably missing out on some B vitamins. It's got zinc, which helps with your immune system. It's got creatine and just overall like the high quality protein.
Absolutely. So, as we've said many times on this podcast, we are not doctors,
No.
but it does kind of say a recommendation of maybe 1 to 3 times a week. That's a safe, moderate usage of red meat. And again, pairing it with the best possible things you can.
I'm all about evidence. So, if you do consume red meat more than 1 to 3 times a week, you won't die. I'm living proof.
It's very true. It's also very true. It just heightens a risk. But again, everyone's body is different. So your higher risk might not look like someone else's higher risk.
I could tell you, again, evidence based, that my risk of eating my ground beef at home 1 to 3 times or more a week, my risk is a lot lower than if I were eating McDonald's or Burger King 1 to 3 times a week or more. So sometimes
Yes.
we just have to take the lesser of the two evils.
Yes, exactly. With that being said, I feel like looking at my own diet, and I probably eat red meat 3, maybe 4 times a week. I eat the 100% grass-fed beef, the lean 95. No, I think it's 93.7. I believe it's 93.7. I feel good. I think I am going to switch maybe 1 or 2 of those days out for beans as my protein base. Just out of curiosity. Let's
So
see what
do
happens.
more of like a little plant focus.
I could do plant focus. I could even do how I've said in the past how I mix my beans in with the beef. So instead of making like, I don't know, for like both of us, instead of making like 3 pounds of beef a week or something like that, maybe we make 1.5 pounds and cut it with beans the other half. Or maybe I completely switch out one night that I would have beef, say it was like a burrito bowl or something, and have the base be just beans and no beef. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna give it a shot and see if I notice any kind of differences, digestion wise, inflammation wise, anything like that. And I'll get back to you. But
Yeah, I think something to consider with that too, because poultry, even though like some people like are just about poultry, it can provide some good benefits, especially within
mhm,
your cycle. That's something that I've been learning with the fertility nutrition and everything is that poultry actually is like a good nutrient dense option for your meats.
it is. I am like a poultry. It needs to be specific.
Well, I know you like shredded, so maybe like on the days you're not doing it, maybe you like have a chicken breast or two that you shred, maybe season with like taco seasoning and throw your black beans in there or something.
Absolutely. That's what we normally do anyways. So
Yeah.
we make up shredded chicken every week as well. And there's just some days that I'm like, ugh. I would rather beans any day
Hmm.
over the week than sometimes shredded chicken as like a base in like a burrito bowl or something like that. I think I would rather beans, which is like a little bit crazy to say, but I'm I've been getting more beans in my diet anyways, and then we're going to get even more cuz they're good for you, and I'm excited
Yes.
about it.
I have been doing better. I've been buying beans more because, like, sometimes I'll look in my pantry and I'm like, man, these beans have been sitting here. I should do something with them and then replace the beans that have been sitting there. So I have a recipe that I have yet to make, but and I know you're weird about chickpeas, but I made a chickpea salad.
I don't mind a chickpea.
Okay. I made a chickpea salad
Okay.
with chickpeas. It was supposed to be fresh parsley, but I only had like the dried kind. So I did dried parsley.
Mm.
half of a red onion, a
Mm.
half cup of hemp seeds. And I got, instead of like the already crumbled feta, I just got the block of feta and I chopped it up
Mm.
myself. I think I compared them and there was just like less ingredients in the just block one versus the crumbled already one. And then the dressing was, I just did like a 1-to-1 ratio of olive oil and lemon juice, a little splash of maple syrup, salt and pepper. It's amazing. I love it.
I love that.
So that's what I've been
I love
doing
that.
with my chickpeas.
Another thing that we make every week, just as like lunches, sometimes even dinners, they're so versatile, is we boil eggs. So I feel like this brings us into our next one. That's the big myth of eggs raise cholesterol.
I feel like that has really been demonized. Like people have been told like don't eat eggs, they're bad for you. And I think if I'm understanding like the evidence and what I've researched properly, is this is kind of similar to like the fat makes you fat, whereas
Mm-hmm.
fats in foods and fats in the body, yeah, they have the same name, but they're two completely different things and they don't affect each other. So there's,
Mm-hmm.
yes, cholesterol in the eggs, but that does not affect the cholesterol in the body like people think it does.
Yes. Again, eggs are very similar to the meats, where it comes down to one, how it's cooked, and then also what you pair with it.
Mhm.
So, um, for instance, as we all kind of know, if you have hard boiled eggs with an avocado and maybe some fruit, the eggs doing its job. It's a great source of protein. Um, which it can actually help then, since you have fiber in there and like some healthy fats, it could actually help lower cholesterol in that aspect.
One thing that I want to point out with just kind of what you said about the egg itself is a lot of times people are like, oh, eggs, that is a protein source. I'm kind of like on the fence with that because I think you kind of are in that boat where it's like egg is a protein source. But when
Mm-hmm.
we look at it as like a whole and like all of the macronutrients, like the fats are pretty much just as available as what protein is in an egg. So while yes, there is protein in it, I wouldn't count it as like a protein source. I think it's more of like a protein and fat source. So if you're like, I'm going to have 2 eggs for breakfast and like meet my protein goal, I don't think 2 eggs is enough protein for a meal. And I have to pump my brakes when I say that because I'm a girly who has 2 eggs for breakfast every day. And that's my
Yes.
protein.
Yes. Exactly. Um, I want to say though, 2 eggs is giving roughly about 12-ish
12
grams
to
of
14,
protein.
I think.
Yeah. Decent. Decent.
But could be
Especially
better.
when it could be better, but especially when you pair it with other things that have hidden protein. So eggs to me are like cheese,
Mhm.
where they have that
The
higher
fat and
fat
protein.
in the protein, whereas the cheese do. And I say the best protein bar is a block of Parmesan cheese.
And I saw specifically there was this reel and there was a girl saying like the block of Parmesan is like the protein bar of 2026.
Yes.
And one of the like he's highly reputable. He's not like a crazy extreme like health person that I follow on Instagram. He's like doing a mix. I don't remember what it's called when you watch the video and then you have your response.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I couldn't disagree with this more. And he was going in on like how the fats really just aren't in whatever. But I was like, if we're talking about whole food sources though, like I think we could all agree on this. Cuz a protein bar is not it's not the same.
You know how many fats and carbs and added sugar is in literally probably 95% of protein bars on the market?
It's not even the added sugar, it's the added sugar alcohols that are wrecking your gut.
Yes, exactly. I think like if like a one cube is like 9 grams of protein, it maybe has 9 to 10 grams of fat. I want to
It's pretty
say
much
roughly
one to
off,
one.
yeah, roughly off the top of my head. Um, that's doing great stuff for my digestion. It's doing great stuff for like my brain, my what are these sugar alcohols doing for me? Nothing. They're making it a little sweeter. Guess what? I don't need sweet when I got cheese.
No, but we do love a little charcuterie board with like some jam
Oh my God, a honey,
sometimes.
dip it, cheese in a honey. Oh, so good. So good.
Sometimes
But
we need a little sweet with our cheese.
that's actually such a good, well rounded, not well rounded, but let's do a little honey and cheese because then that fat is combating um
A spike.
that spike. Yeah, that blood sugar spike. Sorry. Um so how well rounded is that? Granted, we're not getting our fiber. Let's throw some berries in there. God, I love a
Wonderful.
charcuterie. I love it. It's so
But
good.
something important to talk about with charcuterie is a lot of charcuterie boards. They've got your processed meats, they've got your smoked meats, your smoked
Mhm.
cheeses.
Mhm.
And those are things that we should limit a little bit.
Mhm.
So don't get
Definitely.
too excited.
Don't Okay, first off,
Getting excited.
I'm I'm going to get excited, but I make a mean charcuterie, but I also know what to put on it to,
Correct.
yes, keep it whole foods and not do crazy things. But I will put like a salami or something on it. I never eat it,
It's just for the
but
looks.
I like to make flowers out of them because it's pretty. But I never eat it.
It's for
But I
everyone
like to make
else.
it pretty. Yes,
It's a
exactly.
test. You watch who eats it.
Exactly.
All right, we digressed. Eggs are actually very beneficial, especially for, dare I say, pregnant women, because it has choline. Did you know that it has choline? You know what choline does? It helps with fetal development.
As I say, the government thinks nothing is safe for pregnant women.
Yeah, pregnant women should just starve. That'd be safer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kidding. But choline is really, really important, especially in the first and second trimester. It's really important throughout like your entire pregnancy, but especially in the beginning when baby's brain is developing. Like that is probably the best source of choline you could get. Not to mention, it also has proteins in there that help with your eye health. And like I said, it has a quality protein. It's maybe not so much like a quantity of protein that we would be like, oh my God, such high protein, but it's got a good quality protein source, which I think is important.
Absolutely. Like I said, I like to do the hard-boiled eggs and then cut them in half, a little mustard on top, little paprika, and then you're just having 6 deviled eggs for dinner, and it's delicious. Um, no mayo. Hold the mayo on the deviled eggs. Lazy man's deviled eggs, as I call them. Um, but I think just to like jump back, because I don't know if I even got my point across because we started talking about charcuterie and I got distracted. Um, but the way you mostly see people eat eggs is they do that fried like dippy egg with like a white toast, a side of bacon, and like a fried hash brown situation in all
Mhm.
your seed oils and your eggs. That will raise your cholesterol.
So that just made me think of like a good old local bagel sandwich. You catching my drift?
Mhm.
So tasty.
Mhm. So tasty.
Probably not a good option.
No. Definitely not. So tasty though. But that's like getting your food out. That's your like 20%. We're not saying never have a bagel sandwich. Just realize that's probably going to raise your cholesterol. That's all.
Yes. If you're eating an otherwise healthy, balanced diet, you probably have nothing to worry about. 1 to 2 eggs daily for like a healthy person is safe. Just making sure that you're pairing it with your fiber-rich foods, your berries, your whole grains. And a note to make on that is that multigrain, while it does sound diverse and extra healthy because you're getting multiple grains, that just means that you probably have other processed grains in addition to the whole grain. So if you can go for 100% whole grain, which it'll tell you on the package, that's what you should be reaching for over multigrain. Just a little fun fact there.
And I'm going to do one better to add to that. 100% organic whole grain. Because our
Yes.
grains in America are heavily, heavily, heavily sprayed with pesticides.
Yeah, so I do agree with that. We're going to talk about organic here in a little bit. But when it comes to just, we'll kind of wrap up the whole egg thing and what you're eating it with. It's going to be hard to do. I understand. But to reduce your risk, it would be advisable to reduce your consumption of the processed breakfast meats alongside those eggs as well. For the
Yes.
majority of the time. If you're living life a little bit, you're out on the edge of glory, like go for it. Indulge. But like on the day-to-day, I wouldn't say like you should be buying a pack of bacon multiple times a month, you know?
That shouldn't be like an everyday breakfast is like 2 eggs, bacon, and toast. I know that's what like America wants you to eat, but
All right. I'm gonna hit you with a surprise one because
okay.
you if I gave you time to like think about it, you could probably guess it. You've already mentioned it, and I was gonna lead into it as our second point, but I just let you roll with
Oh
the eggs.
no.
Did you guess it?
Is it beans?
No, not beans.
Oh, it's gonna be so sad.
Seed oils. You like hit me with it.
What do you have to say about it?
So there are some things that you're going to agree with when it comes to the seed oils, that it's
Mm-hmm.
about the moderation of it, but also where we're finding these seed oils, which is ultimately in your highly processed foods. So what I found is like the seed oils themselves are not inherently quote unquote bad. It's that they're in these highly processed foods in large quantities that make them more inflammatory because, like we've talked about, our omegas is they're higher in those omega 6s. And the ratio in our diet of the omega 6s and the omega 3s are important. So when we're eating more of those highly processed foods, that omega 6 intake increases. And usually our omega 3s aren't met through dietary ways.
Yes.
So that's where the seed oils can seem to be unhealthy, is because that omega 3 ratio is out of whack. So
Mm-hmm.
I almost wonder if you're eating like a somewhat balanced, healthy meal and diet, if you're balancing those with omega 3s, if those seed oils won't have as much of an inflammatory response.
I would say, okay, so I I am not a pure seed oil hater. Cause even let's go down to like formula. Even your cleanest formulas on the market sometimes have sunflower oil in them. And you ask the manufacturer, wait, this is supposed to be like one of the best on the market. You advertise all like whole foods, healthy, clean. Why is there sunflower oil? It's because a baby needs omega 6 and we need that
Hmm.
omega 6. So I'm not a pure seed oil hater. I am a highly processed, every bottle of vegetable oil is the exact same color in such large quantities that it's in everything that's in a bag and a box. I am that kind of seed oil hater. But I understand we need those omega 6s. So I do think if you were getting the omega 3s and then you were to have forms of a seed oil to balance out with those omega 6s, um, it wouldn't be as bad. But all of the seed oils that's in these highly processed, just because you get more omega 3s does not change the fact that they are extremely highly processed to where they're almost like rancid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I just wanted to see your response when I brought it up because it kind of went, I kind of turned my head when I saw it and I was like, I've seen people argue that seed oils are not quote unquote bad, but I think it's hard to see that when they're in all of these processed things.
Yes. Um, Regular pure seed oils in moderate intake are not bad. Highly processed oils that are in literally everything are horrible.
So, what we can do instead is focus on a variety of what we hear all the time as those healthy fats: your
Mhm.
avocado oil, your olive oil, your nuts, even seeds, your fatty fish, and just limiting your amounts of those seed oils. That's what I think.
I think we've like talked about a couple times, but your safe cooking oils are avocado oil, um, coconut oil, olive oil, pure olive oil, beef tallow, and butter.
Hmm.
That's like your trusted five to cook in
Do you still cook with beef tallow?
every now and then.
I'm a go-to butter girl. We use a
I'm a
lot
go
of
to
butter
butter.
nowadays.
I'm a go to butter. I'm a go to avocado oil. Um, that's really it. I don't really cook with coconut oil. More so, we'll do coconut oil in baking stuff.
I think it definitely tastes coconutty. So to put that in
Yes.
like, I don't know, toss some potatoes in coconut oil doesn't sound
Not
good to
really.
me.
Yeah. Um, but no, I feel like the seed oils in general, they're such an interesting because we talked about before when the seed oils came out and they started to put the seed oils in things, then they started putting like heart healthy on labels because of the seed oil switch, and now the seed oils are cheaper to produce and so massively produced that they've just became ultra processed and they can actually cause a lot more harm in the body than good when not properly balanced out. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, you can have a lot more omega 3 than omega 6, but you don't generally want to have more omega 6 than omega 3.
Correct. Omega 6s, I want to say, and I don't have the data on this, but I think they're an important part of a diet, but your omega 3s are more important. I think those are the ones that affect your brain health more so.
Yeah.
And it's not, omega 6s are so abundant. That's what it is. Omega 6s, I believe our body can make if it needs it. Our body cannot make omega 3s. They have to be in our diet or through a supplement, a high quality supplement for our bodies, because our bodies can't produce an omega 3, but it is essential. It's essential for your body. So
Yes.
that's why they're important. But the omega 6s are just like overly abundant in our grocery stores.
Exactly. So that's my take on the seed oil thing.
Good one. Did that surprise you?
A little bit. I was really scared you were gonna say something about cheese. And I was
Yeah,
like,
that would be
what?
sad. I don't even know if I'd want to look into it. I'd ignore that one.
Which is horrible, but we would definitely look into it because sometimes when stuff is very bad for you, you have to ruin it for yourself. That's what happened to me with hot dogs.
Yes.
Um, which I've always known hot dogs are bad for you, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, but I think when we say all this again, just to reiterate, when we are saying these foods are okay to eat and good for you, it all is within moderation, and that includes cheese, um, and also includes milk, which let's move on to milk then.
That's it for part 1 of our food myth series. Today we covered red meat, eggs, and seed oils, 3 foods that get a lot of attention in the wellness world, often without the full context of the research behind them. If there's one takeaway from this episode, it's that nutrition is rarely as black and white as the internet makes it seem. Most foods exist somewhere in the middle, and the overall pattern of what we eat matters far more than demonizing one ingredient. In part 2 of this series, we're going to continue the conversation and break down a few more hot topics like milk, protein, and gluten, and what people often get wrong about them. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend who's trying to make sense of all the conflicting nutrition advice online. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, TikTok, and wherever you listen to our podcast, whether that be YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, because it will help more women like you reach our podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in part 2 of our food myth breakdown here on the Sis Let's Heal podcast.